How about them Packers, huh?
Oh, the Packers, they're in the playoffs again. I call this a winning season.
Oh, let's just take it to Mike McCarthy. Take it so hard. Cowboys haven't lost it. Cowboys haven't lost at home in over a year. They are so due. I'm ready for this. Oh, good morning. At 6 o'clock. This is the live stream for Up North News Radio. I'm Pat Kreitlow. That's Greg Bach over there.
Hi.
Over there.
I'm right here. There's Pat's right there.
Yeah. See, this is why I was never a TV weather person much. Oh, hey, busy show today. Look at this. We got Kristen Lyerly at 6:30, Selena Heller at 6:50, the Motherhood for Good friends at 7:30, meteorologist Brittany Merlot at 7:05 or so, Terry Bell, Civic Media news director, at about 7:50, and yeah, we're going to talk Packers and all kinds of fun stuff like that. There's some temperatures to show you as we also find out about an approaching snowstorm, especially for the southern half of Wisconsin. So Greg laughs nervously, like,
because I won't be here.
What?
Yeah, I'm going on vacation. You knew that.
Well, I knew of it. I didn't know it was happening already.
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
Pat.
I'm going to go pout while you all listen to the rest of the news and commercials, and we'll be back in 4 minutes.
Matt Piper, CBS News.
Early this morning at Cape Canaveral.
Liftoff of the first United Launch Alliance Vulcan rocket.
U.S. launching its first spacecraft to the moon in more than 50 years as part of NASA's plan to return humans to the lunar surface. Peregrine is uncrewed. It's vying to become the first private venture to land on the moon. If all goes well, it'll touch down there February 23rd. College football will crown a champion tonight in a battle of the unbeatens. Number 1 Michigan takes on number 2 Washington in Houston. Wolverines coach Jim Harbaugh.
To be the best, you gotta beat the best. So that's our mindset, and we're ready to have at it.
S&P futures up 1, Dow futures unchanged. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Governor Evers says he doesn't support efforts to keep Donald Trump off the presidential primary ballot in Wisconsin. The Democratic governor tells the Journal Sentinel that doing that would only anger the Republicans' base and justify Trump's claims the deck is stacked against him. 41 public schools in Milwaukee are tearing up playground asphalt and replacing it with trees and native plants. Kids get some relief on hot days.
There's often not very many areas of shade, if any, on these urban schoolyards. There's not a lot of things to naturally do.
Lisa Neeb is with Reflow, the nonprofit which is helping with the project. She says grades go up and behavior problems go down when kids have recess in more natural settings. I'm Nate Wuggyhout, Civic Media News.
Packers are headed to Dallas. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Packers will face head coach Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys Sunday in the wild card playoffs. Kickoff at 3:30. Green Bay beat the Bears 17-9. Standing room only at Lambeau Field. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
What a great atmosphere, great environment. I can't say enough about our fans. That was a playoff type atmosphere. And anytime you get that type of feeling in Lambeau, I think it's tough on any opponent.
Jordan Love with 2 touchdowns and a quarterback rating of 128.6.
I'm just having a better feel of where I need to go with the ball and getting a better rhythm with just playing quarterback in the pocket. So, I think every game, I've been getting better, and the whole team around me has been getting better as well.
And an interesting comment from Quay Walker about what's different about the team this year.
I've been on this team for 2 years now, and the team chemistry is way better than it was the year before. And so once it's like that, man, the season win football games when a lot of guys love to enjoy to play with each other.
That's Packers inside linebacker Quay Walker. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
A big winter storm system is going to bring rain and snow to much of the region starting tonight, continuing through tomorrow and into tomorrow night. 3 to 6 inches of snow possible with rain mixed in at times. Today, mostly cloudy. 37 snow developing late this afternoon, continuing tonight into tomorrow with some blowing snow by late tomorrow into tomorrow night. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 28.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
Keeping Southeast Wisconsin informed.
All across Wisconsin from Civic Media, this is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Wissota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is 6:06 on this Monday morning, January 8th, and it's once again another beautiful day to have you here up north, live from Lake Wissota, from wherever you're listening across the Civic Media Radio Network, the Civic Media app, or through our social media video feeds. And if you're listening on demand by podcast, thank you for subscribing and taking us along on this Monday. I've got a question for you, especially those of you in the southern half of Wisconsin. Are you ready for the first winter storm? Also, let's look at the positive side of things. It took this long to get to the first winter storm, and details from meteorologist Brittany Merlot coming up. Here's another question. Did you feel it? Did you feel it yesterday when the sun rose 1 minute earlier than Saturday? Because bit by bit, the days are now starting to get longer. Wait, I have another question for you. Are you ready for more football as the Packers get set to take it to the playoffs, go to Dallas? Dallas hasn't lost at home for over a year, and so can you think of a better way to get into the playoffs than by handing Packers former coach Mike McCarthy his first home loss in over a year? That would be really nice. Sunday, 3:30 is when the Packers and Dallas play in the wild card round. One more quick tease here. Tomorrow morning at 7:06, we will have an interview with Governor Tony Evers. He's been scheduling one-on-one interviews with a lot of Wisconsin media folks, ourselves included, at Up North News. And so we will hear from the governor tomorrow morning at 7:06. Also, along the way today, we'll talk about former President Trump saying some pretty off-the-rails things over the weekend. The one that really caught my ear was claiming he could have done a better job than Abraham Lincoln of negotiating the end of the Civil War, which begs the question, how does one negotiate slavery with the South? What exactly would Trump have done? Kristen Lyerly will join us. We'll talk in part. She was at the game. We'll talk about that, but also we'll talk to her about a draconian new abortion law in Idaho being allowed to stay on the books for now, thanks to right-wing judges and justices. Selena Heller will highlight some of the stories she's working on for us at Up North News. You can find that at UpNorthNewsWI.com. This is the first Monday of the first working Monday of the new year, and it's the first Motherhood Monday of the new year. A perfect time to remind busy parents of some of the basic things we can all do to be a bit more involved in 2024 and in making sure we're supporting real pro-family candidates. So look for that coming up at about 7:30. Talk to Aaron Phillips and Kate Duffy. Civic Media News Director Terry Bell will have 3 things you need to know to start the week. That'll be coming up at 7:50. And again, frequent weather updates from Brittany Merlot and others as we go through the day. You can join us along the way at 844-967-2789. Again, 844-967-2789. We would love to have you along. You can call us or text us at that number. And you can either do so directly on your phone or do it through the Civic Media app. That's really the best way to go because you'll be able to keep up with all of the many good shows and stations across the Civic Media Radio Network. You can email us as well, radio@upnorthnewswi.com, or you can leave us a comment on one of the Facebook pages where you can not only hear but also see Up North News Radio, where you could also hear and see on your screen 6 a.m. temperatures around the state. They look like this. It's 27 up here on Lake Wissota. Hayward's at 19. Park Falls 20. Wausau reporting 28 degrees downtown. Green Bay's at 30. La Crosse 27. Wisconsin Rapids 29. Oshkosh 30. Madison's at 26 degrees. And it is 27 in downtown Waukesha, where we find Mr. Greg Bach joining us to kick off the week. Mr. Bach, good morning. Is that a yawn? Is that a yawn, or are you just getting excited to say hello?
Just getting excited to say hello.
Very nice. How was your weekend?
Busy.
Okay. All right.
It works. And then I spent Bridget and I spent and Maybell. We went over to a good friend of ours' house and hung out with their family and just kind of did nothing. It was fantastic. But I did have a mishap.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago, we did a cookie exchange, and I had some leftover cookies that were frozen. So I brought them out. I decided to put them in the microwave.
Oh.
And if you're watching the live stream, I'm going to put my thumb up here, right here.
Oh, no. What happened to your thumb?
I burned my thumb on caramel.
Oh, yes.
Like hot plastic on your skin.
Mm-hmm.
I was shaking, swearing.
Yeah.
And it hurts. It just hurts.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Microwaves and isn't it fun? Microwaves are fickle little creatures. For something like mashed potatoes, you have to have them in there for like a day and a half for them to get warm. Other things like caramel become like hot lava in a matter of seconds.
Yeah. Like I'll put it in for 4 seconds. Oh, the house is on fire.
Yeah. Right. I recall my dad burned his mouth on a really hot cookie. Yeah, it's so you got off easy with it being the thumb.
Yeah.
So good on you. Did you watch the Packers beat the Bears in some particular place?
I was not able to watch the game last night.
Oh, you were indisposed.
Indisposed, but I was catching up on the scores on my phone and very excited for the fans, very excited for the team. I mean, this is there's the part of me is like, oh, go to the Super Bowl, win it all, make Aaron Rodgers watch every minute.
I'm going to say what's gotten me through this season is that the bar of expectations has never been set very high when they have these bad games, and they've had some bad games. It's been like, okay, again, they mentioned this several times during the TV broadcast. This is the youngest team in the NFL. This is the youngest team ever to make the playoffs in the NFL. This is a young team, so they're scrappy. They've got talent, but they're going to have some miscues along the way. Again, you're going up against a Dallas team that hasn't lost at home in over a year. So, I mean, granted, Dallas's playoff record, not that great historically. Yeah. But look, I just expect it to be a good game. That's all I'm hoping for, is a good game. Not a blowout where suddenly all of our youth and inexperience shows. So we'll see.
A win is a win.
That's right. We'll definitely take that. Also, apparently, there was like a little. In my mind, there's no such thing as a little earthquake, but by their standards, there was a little earthquake in the Crandon area over the weekend. Yeah. I think about 2.5 or so on the Richter scale.
That's not little.
I know that would get my attention, and by getting my attention, meaning I would suddenly feel something warm and wet down my leg. I mean, it's not the world should not do that. And then people would say, actually, the world does that 24/7. Actually, but it doesn't do it here much in the Midwest, and I would not like that. No bueno. No.
I was in Los Angeles for an earthquake once. It was like, it was 3.5, 4. I'm like, that's don't just slough it off as God shakes the planet and like
meh. Yeah. That sounds good. Oh, it was an F1? Oh, please, come to me with a real tornado, until it hits your house.
We stand outside and watch for an F4.
Yep.
It was just a baby.
It was weird. There was just weird stuff over the weekend. The Crandon earthquake. Alaska Airlines, a part of the plane fell off. It fell off. And it's like, suddenly you're in a convertible. It's like, oh, hey, look, open air, It's like, but no, at 400 miles an hour and 16,000 feet.
Sir, I may be new here at Alaskan Airlines, but I think we're supposed to have a tail, right? We're not like the shuttle. We don't like drop pieces as we're flying.
No, and of all the things you want to have faith in, I want faith in the mechanics or whoever they are who were supposed to, that had been an emergency exit door. They covered it because of the way the plane was configured. They didn't need a door there. If you're going to weld it or whatever it is you do, maybe some Gorilla Glue, whatever you do, I'd like that to stay in place, please.
Some Scotch tape and hope.
Yep, that'll do. What's that?
I'm supposed to go flying on Wednesday. Oh my God. Oh.
What's the guy who's got all the Flex Seal stuff? I mean, he's gonna do the thing next with we took this airliner and we used Flex Seal, and the door didn't come off. Well, maybe Alaska Airlines should have used that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tried to watch the Golden Globes. Golden Globes are always kind of a hit or miss thing.
I didn't even know they were on.
Yeah. Yep. They moved to CBS. They've been on NBC forever.
Yeah.
And to me, one of the more awkward moments was when the Golden Globe for the brand new award for Best Stand-Up Comedy Special went to Ricky Gervais. And you can feel the whole room kind of tense up, because he was such a controversial Golden Globes host for a couple of years there. And they're like, well, this is awkward.
His last special, he was quite transphobic.
Yes, he was. We didn't finish it. Honestly, we didn't finish it. We're this isn't working for us.
I used to love his stand-up. I love his shows. But I'm like, and him and Jimmy Carr, like two like very smart British comics.
Yeah.
I thought they'd make fun of making fun of transphobia in a way that was like ironic, but they just dug in. Like,
yeah, I kept waiting for them to turn the corner on it,
and they didn't.
Yeah. So it seemed a little odd that it got the Golden Globe Award, but we're in award season.
Do you have the HBO Max?
Yes.
I'm going to suggest a special for you that I think you'll truly love.
Good. I need a palate cleanser. Yes, please.
Did you watch Gary Gulman's The Great Depression?
No.
Watch that. It's a wonderful special / it's about him going through severe mental breakdown, but talking about it, but also doing stand-up. It's amazing.
Well, if you like that, then you're going to have to set your DVR, because does Taylor Tomlinson's new show, does that start tonight?
I think it starts tonight. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, from the stand-up I've seen from her, I worry about her. I mean, she too talks about being bipolar and all of that, but just listening to her talk, I'm like, oh boy,
Pat, I'm going to give you
pressure.
If you know a comedian, you should worry about all of them.
Okay, I believe you. Yes. So anyway, we watched the Golden Globes, and then tonight on TV will be the college football championship, Michigan versus Washington, playing in Houston, and honestly, why, kids? If you're going to do that, do it on New Year's Day when everybody's watching bowl games, and then have your one really big bowl game at the very end. There's your free advice. A lot more sports to talk about on the other side of this brief pause, wherever you're listening across Wisconsin on this Monday, January 8th. When you're here, you're up north. You're live from Lake Wissota, all across the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow. It's nice to have you along. Back in a bit.
WAUK.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, son. How are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass. Eyes waiting. Started to wonder. Metamorphosis. The loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
was on this day in 1980 that Prince made his national television debut, performing I Want to Be Your Lover on NBC's The Midnight Special. We'll have the rest of today's history lesson and musical memories coming up about a half hour from now or so. Quick look at sports here. Obviously, we've talked about the Packers already. What they did was they beat the Bears 17-9. The Packers have now beaten the Bears 10 games in a row and finished the season 9-8. Not bad after starting the season 2-5, but they've won 7 of their last 10 games. And again, they'll play in the wild card round of the playoffs in Dallas on Sunday at 3:30. We mentioned the college football championship is tonight in Houston, Michigan versus Washington. The Milwaukee Bucks lost on the road in Houston Saturday night. They are home tonight to take on the Utah Jazz. The Badger men's basketball team, number 21st ranked in the nation, they beat Nebraska on Saturday, never trailed in that game at all. The Badger men have now won 4 straight and 10 of their last 11. Their next game is at Ohio State on Wednesday. The 7th-ranked Marquette men's basketball team lost at Seton Hall on Saturday, but they're still 2-2 in the Big East, 11-4 overall. They will host Butler on Wednesday at the Fiserv Forum. The Marquette women's basketball team is at Seton Hall on Tuesday. The 5th-ranked Badger men's hockey team is now working on a 9-game winning streak after sweeping Notre Dame. That's the first 9-game winning streak for Badger men's hockey in 34 years. You got to go back to 1990, and they are now 10-2 atop the Big Ten. The Badger women's hockey is 3rd ranked in the country, and they are now 16-4 on the season after sweeping Merrimack over the weekend. There's a lot going on out in the world. We always, like to say there's a lot to unpack, but we're going to try to unpack the news here for you at 6:22 right now. A lot of what we are going to start with deals with the weekend anniversary of the January 6th attack. And all last week, being back from vacation, I never mentioned that my beach read for this last go-round was the Heather Cox Richardson book, Democracy Awakening. I know a lot of folks read Heather Cox Richardson's daily newsletters. They are brilliant in putting the day's political events into perspective, often with a historical context. If you are a fan of Heather Cox Richardson, you'll like the book, but you will also, I had to put the book down many times because it just made me very angry at the things that we know have happened. All of the warning signs have been out there for generations about places this country could go to, the dark places this country could go to if we essentially took our democracy for granted. And it just shows that, again, Trump was not the beginning of this movement. He's merely the latest manifestation and has taken it further than other politicians before that. Just look at this weekend as Trump was rambling across Iowa, referring to the insurrectionists as patriots and hostages, which, by the way, begs the question, which is it? Are they hostages who he's promising to pardon? Because I also thought they were FBI undercover people and Antifa people. So which is it? Which are the group that beat police with baseball bats and American flags, who sprayed them with chemicals, who hunted for lawmakers, who put up a gallows outside the U.S. Capitol? Are these really hostages? That's the case he's making. He also, again, over the weekend, praised dictators, referring to President Xi multiple times as brilliant for, as he put it, ruling 1.5 billion people with an iron fist. That's the guy who soiled the presidency previously and wants to be there again. There was a shameful display of this by New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik when she too talked about the J6 hostages, as they put it, on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker. Kristen Welker didn't push back, didn't challenge that wording at all. And I gave Kristen Welker a pass. She's an experienced reporter, but she was new at hosting Meet the Press. I was content to let some of the rust, be kicked off in terms of, hosting a show like this on Sunday mornings. That was completely inexcusable, the way that I see it. not challenging her and others, who could be summed up the way our regular Friday guest Mark Jacob did over the weekend when he said, with each passing day, the Republican Party acts more like the philosophical successor of Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber. And I know that in saying that, that's going to cheese some people off, cheese some regular folks off who vote Republican. Well, don't, because we're not talking about most people that we know who vote Republican don't talk like this. And they understand that January 6th was an attempt to overthrow an election. It's the politicians, the people who get in power and support this, who stick with Trump day in and day out, despite the many crimes and the many ways he telegraphs how he wants to upend democracy. Those are the folks who are, at this point, aptly described the way that Mark Jacob named them. And it's not nice. And it's going to lead to a busy 2024. And as I said, we'll talk in our next hour to our friends from Motherhood for Good about, the little things that can get started right now to make sure that 2024 isn't some kind of a bellwether year in the continued corrosion of democracy, but instead where we see Americans of all political stripes take a stand and say, look, democracy, like it or not, is most uniquely defined in this way compared to all other systems. Democracy is properly described as the losers of elections go willingly, that there is a peaceful transfer of power that started with George Washington. And yet here's Donald Trump not only fighting that once before, but telegraphing that, violence would be okay this year as well. And here he has continually put himself up there as the greatest president, comparing himself to Washington, comparing himself to Lincoln, and saying over the weekend that he could negotiate a better deal, for the Civil War, that he thought that if he were there, he said he'd be so good at negotiating that people would never know if Abraham Lincoln was any good. That's actually, and again, when he says the Civil War could have been negotiated, I mean, the Washington Post has already reached out to some historians who respectfully, shall we say, disagree. Because again, what are you negotiating? After the Confederacy fires on Fort Sumter and starts to leave the Union, secede from the United States over the issue of slavery, what does that tell you Donald Trump would be willing to do? We already know the answer, because we already know where he is on Ukraine. We already know that he loves Putin, respects him, thinks he's a strong, brilliant person. And so, if you got to give up a little bit of Ukraine, that's fine. Amazing how that would have worked out in Europe, when Hitler was doing the same shtick. This is the guy that you want negotiating. He hasn't negotiated anything. He never negotiated a healthcare plan. He never negotiated an infrastructure plan. He's not a negotiator. He's not a successful businessman. He's a snake oil salesman who's done good the first time, got lucky the first time, lost the second time, and yet is coming back at another kick of the can, hopefully with Americans who've read books like Heather Cox Richardson's and others, and are better prepared to stand up for our democracy. More with Kristen Lyerly coming up in just a bit. You're Up North.
You're listening to The Shaw, WAUK.
CBS News Brief. The NTSB says a school teacher near Portland, Oregon, found a plug from the Alaska Airlines plane door that blew off Friday night. And the safety board's Jennifer Homendy says a flight attendant ran to help after the cockpit door was flung open by the force.
She did attempt to shut the door 3 times. It did eventually shut, but it did blow open during the explosive decompression.
The Pentagon releasing new details after a delay in getting the word out about Defense Secretary Austin's nearly week-long hospitalization. CBS.
commercial in the state. Go to callcurrent.com for more information.
For Civic Media News, I'm Nate Wegehout. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. 2 consultants hired to analyze new legislative maps for Wisconsin will be paid as much as $100,000 each in taxpayer money. Terms of their contracts were just made public. The state Supreme Court has ruled the old maps unconstitutional. Wisconsin state troopers are enlisting truckers and other commercial drivers to help fight human trafficking. The state patrol trains them to look out for warning signs potential victims may be sending out.
A lot of times these victims could be, appearing fearful, submissive, timid in some cases. There might also be signs that their movement is, or at the very least has been, controlled.
Trooper Sean Bryan of the State Patrol. January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Wisconsin. I'm Nate Wegehout, Civic Media News.
This is Chuck Smith, founder of Current Electric. I want to thank you, Southeast Wisconsin, for making us #1 electrical service company in our area. From residential and commercial to all things solar. Do you know the #1 reason people call Current Electric? It is trust. We answer the call. They trust our heroes in their home and businesses. With 8,500 5-star reviews and growing, I'm so very proud of our team of heroes. Go to callcurrent.com. That's callcurrent.com. Home of the superheroes.
The Civic Media network of radio stations across Wisconsin. It's your hometown radio. Refreshed.
A big winter storm system is going to bring rain and snow to much of the region starting tonight, continuing through tomorrow and into tomorrow night. 3 to 6 inches of snow possible with rain mixed in at times. Today, mostly cloudy, 37 snow developing late this afternoon, continuing tonight into tomorrow with some blowing snow by late tomorrow into tomorrow night. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 26.
Be a part of the resistance. Check out the Paul Revere Show with Mark Thompson. Monday nights at 7 on the Shaw. 540 AM and 101.1.
Hey, lady. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Is your microphone plugged in?
Yes.
Are you sure? Get nice and close to it for a second there.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems to sound a little better.
Maybe I just need to be really close.
Oh, I'm still not sure it's that. Tap it a couple of times there. Give it a little tap. No, I'm not hearing that. Nope. Did you look at your StreamYard settings for audio?
Yeah, it's plugged in.
Okay.
And it shows that it's like it's got little green dots that say that it's happening.
Okay.
Yeah. My car keys? Lindsay can't take his car? No. Oh, in my cubby. Sometimes we forget to charge our car in the morning.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any better?
No.
What is the problem here?
I don't know.
It sounds like it's not plugged in at all. Like it's not the mic. It's coming through the
sounds
computer.
like your computer. Yeah. So 15 seconds. What do you think, Kristen? Do you believe in love now? Do you believe in Jordan Love now that the season's...
I always believed in Jordan Love.
You have. Never in doubt from Dr. Kristen Lyerly. How are you?
I'm good. And that music makes me feel like, okay, I can do Monday.
Of course you can. Yes. Yeah. There you go. Greg giving us his little Huey Lewis dance. Yeah.
It's adorable.
It is.
If you can't see this, you really ought to turn on Facebook so that you can. It's worth it.
You're welcome.
That's right. Were you in the game outside at the tailgating? What were you up to yesterday?
We did all of it. We tailgated. Our tailgate is brilliant. We had, I'm not joking, bear stew and bear tenderloin made from real bears.
You weren't kidding about that post.
I was not.
Wow.
It was wonderful. And the fans were so great. The Bears fans were great. The Packer fans were so excited. It was a beautiful day. It was just a wonderful experience. And I find that this is kind of a unique thing. Every time I go to a game, I don't have season tickets, so I always sit somewhere different. Every time I go to a game, I leave with a whole new group of friends, and that's exactly what happened last.
Of course
year.
you do. Yes, you do.
Of course you do. You're just like the friendliest person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just me; it's the people around you, and you're high fiving everybody, and everybody was in such good spirits. It was a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We have, you're going to different parts of the stadium. I have pretty much the same bar stool I sit on each time if I'm home, if I go to our local watering hole here. And sometimes people will try to talk and I'll just kind of look out the side of my eye. I'm like, I'm watching the game. Leave me alone. I just want to watch the game.
Wow. Mean Pat Kreitlow.
Well, because I actually want to watch the game. And then when they score a touchdown, then we're all high-fiving and everything else. But, I don't want to miss anything. That's me.
There is something though about, like, I was talking to some people who sometimes sit in the box because there are a lot of Packer people who are associated here. And if you are watching in a bar or watching in the box, you kind of aren't watching the game. But if you're in the bowl on those aluminum bleachers, hearing all of that is like, it just sucks you into it. That is the experience.
Yes, it is. I've sat those aluminum bleachers though. Holy cow! If you don't remember a cushion or something,
you walk away. You're like, everything hurts.
Yes. And I assume you were now at the time of the season where you drive to Lambeau Field. You don't take that 10-mile bike ride or whatever it is.
Yeah, we drove and we street parked and we did the whole thing. That's another great thing about the Packers. There's no ramp. When you go there, you park in somebody's front yard and, they usher you in. They've got a sign that says, you can use my bathroom for free. They give you a little bottle of water. It's adorable.
The Midwest, ladies and gentlemen, the Midwest.
Wisconsin rules. Wisconsin just rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, look, I made a kolache for you.
Can I point out one other thing?
Sure.
When we talk about 1849, often we're talking about the abortion ban in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. But today, when we talk about 1849, that is the number of days that the Bears have gone without a win over the Packers. 1,849 days the Bears have been winless over the Packers.
Look at you coming off the top rope with deep cut trivia. Wow.
And just so like when we talk about 1849, the Bears suck. All right.
Yes. That's all we need to. And again, we, all of us know a Bears fan or two, and you can just feel it. It used to be the way that Cubs fans felt for 108 years, and now it's squarely on the Bears fans' shoulders. That how long are they going to be this bad?
Thoroughly disagree. When it comes to Cubs fans, they have lived in a 108-year bubble where they still thought they were the best team ever. Every time they come to Milwaukee, they just be like, "We're the Cubs." I'm like, "Yeah, you guys suck."
And they're going to go another 108 years, hopefully.
Good.
Yes. Hey, as we look more at some of the headlines over the weekend, Kristen, I have to ask you as an OBGYN, we've talked about Idaho before, but this is less about this abortion ban in Idaho. It's less about Idaho than it is about the current makeup of the U.S. Supreme Court, because it always seemed that when these draconian measures would get passed, a court would say, no, that we're gonna put that on hold while we hear whether this is legal. And I have to admit, I did quite a double take when the U.S. Supreme Court essentially said that Idaho's, again, draconian, just extreme abortion ban is going to be allowed to stay in place. They'll hear arguments in like April. They might decide it by June. I mean, I'm sure this isn't the first time it happened, but it really took me back. Usually these kinds of laws are like, hold on, Sparky, we'll get to you.
I don't understand. I just can't even understand what's happening with the Supreme Court and what's happening in Idaho. So essentially what they said was this law, it's not a law, this rule that Congress, an act of Congress called EMTALA, which means that if you show up at the emergency room, you have to be treated regardless of your ability to pay. It doesn't specifically talk about what you're treated for. It doesn't say, so if you show up with a heart attack, we have to take care of you. Also a stroke. It doesn't say those things. It just says, when you show up at the emergency department, you have to be treated. But now it says, unless you need an abortion, in which case you don't get to be treated.
For folks who don't follow it closely, EMTALA is the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, EMTALA, EMTALA. And yeah, again, this is a case of this is what the law says, this is what the rule says, and then a court comes in and says, well, we're going to micromanage the interpretation of this. And it's going to make things a lot tougher for women in Idaho and some of these other states. I guess it's not the world's biggest surprise given what the U.S. Supreme Court did with the Dobbs decision, but it is just that reminder as we head into 2024, the importance of every single election, not just a state Supreme Court election, but every presidential election, because they appoint, justices who could be as politician-like as these ones are. And it's really incumbent upon every American to keep their eye on the ball when it comes to Supreme Court seats.
Supreme Court seats, but all the way down the ballot too. I mean, not to get distracted from the EMTALA issue, but the stuff that affects you locally, those are the elections that we often have little information about, but they have a huge impact on what your kids are being taught in school and what your roads and bridges look like and how much tax you pay locally, all of those things. And they are, like I said, such low information elections, and they're often nonpartisan elections that they can be very confusing as you are approaching the ballot box and you're trying to figure out who to vote for. Who is really the right person for you?
Mm-hmm. We'll talk to Governor Tony Evers tomorrow at 7:05, and that will be one of the questions. Will be about whether Wisconsin women and their allies will continue to show high voter turnout as they have since the Dobbs decision was handed down a year and a half ago. So listen for that tomorrow morning. Let me switch to a different health topic, and it gets into this thing that amuses me, the supposed war on chocolate milk, that Tom Tiffany and some of these other Republicans like to talk about. And, okay, sugary drinks. There's a new report out that says it's a new analysis by, Scott Kaplan, an assistant professor of economics at the U.S. Naval Academy in Maryland, and commenting on a study that says taxes on sugary drinks cut consumer sales by 33%. In other words, now because of that higher tax, people go, I don't really need that. And there turns out to be a benefit. Now, we talk about this all the time, so-called sin taxes in cigarettes and liquor. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you as a former legislator, when people say, why do you guys tax cigarettes so high? Because they work. The sin taxes work. And it's proven again by this analysis that a doctor like you can tell people all day long, you shouldn't have that sugary drink. You shouldn't smoke, whatever the case may be. But once there's shall we say, a way to fund roads and schools and things that get assessed on that economic motivation is just as much or more so than a doctor recommendation on healthy habits.
I think it's very compelling. And actually, I can talk all day long to my patients about what they should do. Like, what you should do. You shouldn't drink so much soda, but until it actually hurts you somewhere, like in the pocketbook, you're not thinking about long-term consequences. So yeah, that's why those sin taxes are so effective. It hurts you in the pocketbook right now. And
so related to that, and this gets us back to the chocolate milk thing, is that the USDA and the Biden administration are being accused of wanting to ban chocolate milk. No, they're not. But they are saying if you're going to have flavored milk in school, you've got to find ways to add less sugar to it. You've fewer sweeteners. Maybe it's more natural sweeteners, whatever the case may be. But get the level of sugar down in what's served to our kids in school. And of course, rather than going along with something that is beneficial to health, you've got all of these Republicans immediately trying to politicize it as Joe Biden wants to take away your chocolate milk. They'll have to rip my chocolate milk from my cold, dead hands. And it's just so much drama over, again, taking care of our kids and each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how we do it right now, isn't it? It's everything is black and white, good or bad, and they package all of these messages regardless of what it is without any nuance to bring people over to their side. There was less competition amongst the fans at the Packer Bear game yesterday than there is in the political arena over chocolate milk.
It's true. It's absolutely true. What do we always say? When you get regular folks together, friends and neighbors, and some may vote one way, some may tend to vote the other way, but they can get along with each other. They can talk where there are differences. They don't go erecting a gallows and saying, well, let's hang somebody who doesn't agree with us. It just gets us back to the January 6th anniversary over the weekend, and not pun intended, not sugarcoating, what history was on that day. And I just want people to keep that in mind. And that's why I use it again to say that coming up in our next hour, your friends from Motherhood for Good will be here to talk about ways that people can be involved. And you are always my poster child for that, of the, of the simple country doctor who said, no, let's talk to people about, really caring about who's on your ballot and what issues they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. There are so many problems in the world to solve. I think no matter who you're talking to and what their ideology is, as you get into the conversation, you recognize that there are many things that can be done, but they are not being done because so many of our leaders right now are focusing on this competition instead of actually finding a way to take some of the sugar out of chocolate milk.
Yeah.
It's not that hard, people.
It's not that hard if you just want to act, in the public interest. So let's get ourselves back to where we started here, and that would be the Packers making it to the playoffs. They will be in Dallas. I'm sure some Packer fans will go down, but at least everybody else is going to make their plans for Sunday afternoon. So do you do anything different playoff wise? Do you instead turn it into a house party, or something? What do you have a favorite place where you go to watch the game when you're home in Green Bay?
Sadly, I will be working for this playoff game.
Oh,
but
no.
Recognize that this is the Cowboys, and who coaches the Cowboys?
Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy, former
The
Packer
enemy.
coach. But Mike McCarthy has plenty of old friends back in Green Bay. So this is much more than just a game against the Dallas Cowboys. This is very personal.
Oh, very true. This is we're going to get so sick of hearing about Mike McCarthy this week, which I actually hope is I hope it motivates people to go, okay, fine, let's just go out and beat him. Not even worry about everybody else on the team. Just this is all about Mike McCarthy at this point. Who, by the way, again, it wasn't the most acrimonious departure. It was definitely a parting of the ways, and so now we get to hopefully kick his butt.
This is how things work in the NFL.
Yeah. Yep. It's not personal. It's only football.
It's only football. But ultimately, at the end of the day, all we need is love.
There you go.
Aww.
Love is all you need. We'll have today's history lesson and musical memories. And Selena Heller from Up North News will join us as well in just a bit. Wherever you're listening, live from Lake Wissota, all across Wisconsin, you're Up North. Back in a bit.
Can we play with my settings a little bit, maybe? How about
this?
Is this better?
Oh, hey, there you are.
Is that better?
Yes. What did you do?
Oh, I turned a knob. I was afraid to do it while we were just talking, but here we are.
I was looking up how to get you to settings because I haven't been on a Mac in a long time. Go to settings, go to sounds, but you did it.
You did it.
Knob.
I've got these knobs.
Mm-hmm.
Turn your knobs, love.
You turn your knobs.
All right. People. What do you know, Miss Heller? You good?
I'm good. Judged
Okay.
a chili contest yesterday. I don't eat
Ooh,
chili.
Jealous.
Oh,
I don't eat chili. Oh,
I eat chili.
Well, we
Like,
certainly
this
we
tastes
have
like
a jumping
chili.
off point. We have a jumping off point for Selena Hiller after history.
My mouth is
All right.
still on fire.
Here we
Back
go.
in 15.
All right, now, of course, we got, when you play the king, you don't just get chair dancing from Greg Bach, but from Kristen Lyerly as well.
woo!
Yeah.
She's always dancing.
Mm-hmm. Elvis Presley, born this day in 1935. So do the math on that, Pat. 89 years old? Yeah, 89 years old. He would be 89 years old. Passed away in 1977, of course.
If you believe that.
If you believe that. And it's all because his middle name, Aaron, is not spelled correctly on his tombstone, that people think, yeah, maybe that's not actually him there. Selena Heller joins us as well from Eau Claire, along with... Well, here, Whiskers joins us along with Selena Heller when she can peek around his butt now and then. How are
Hi,
you?
Mary. I'm well. How's everyone?
Good.
Good.
You had quite the weekend event that we're going to ask you all about in just a minute here, so stay tuned for that. But we mentioned that David Bowie, or Elvis Presley, was born this day. So is David Bowie. 12 years later, in 1947, David Bowie. Do you know his birth name? Not you, Greg. You can see the answer, ladies.
I
need it.
feel like I should know this, but I don't.
Can I give a hint?
Sure.
He shares the name with another famous singer. Famous British singer. Famous English singer.
We're the Monkees. So. Yes.
His name is Mickey Dolenz. His name is Mickey Dolenz.
No. Davy Jones. Play a little Modern Love while we talk about that. He changed his name at age 18 because he saw it was inspired by the Bowie knife. He liked the name Bowie. And he wanted to avoid confusion with Davy Jones. So David Jones, born this day in 1947, passed away in 2016.
And then
changed
he
his name to David Bowie.
And then he went to Ziggy Stardust.
Yes, he did. Yep.
And the Thin White Duke.
Yep. On this day in 1982 was the breakup of the Bell system, as AT&T agreed to divest itself of 22 subdivisions like, Wisconsin Bell, Northwestern Bell, Atlantic Bell, all of those, and opened up. You tear down a monopoly. Are you listening, Washington, D.C., here in the 21st century?
Pat called you out.
Yep. President George W. Bush signed the No Child Left Behind Act into law this day in 2002. Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was shot and wounded on this day in 2011 as part of a mass shooting in Tucson, Arizona. Here's another birthday. Mike Reno is still with us. He is 69 years old today, born in 1955. If you don't know the name, you know the group Loverboy.
Such an anthem.
It actually I feel like I'm violating something by playing this on a Monday. It's like, no, this is a Friday song.
Too early.
Yep.
No, it really thinks about it. Like the first thing on Monday, you're like, here comes the weekend. Just make it through.
Mike Reno's birth name was Joseph Rynoski, and he was born in New Westminster, Canada. And
Wait, say the name again?
Joseph Rynoski.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a rock star name.
Yeah, really. We already mentioned that Prince made his national TV debut on the Midnight Special this day in 1980. The Beatles' Rubber Soul became their seventh number one album in the U.S. on this day in 1966. And on this day 3 years ago, 17-year-old Olivia Rodrigo, known as being an actress on various Disney shows, released her debut single, Driver's License.
I guess you didn't mean what you wrote in that song about me. 'Cause you said forever, now I drive alone past your street.
That sounds like stalking.
It does, doesn't it?
Goodness.
I just remember the Saturday Night Live skit where all these guys are like shooting pool in a bar, and next thing you know, they're just all singing the song in unison because it had become just this runaway hit.
Well, that's another thing that our listeners could not see was Greg's head as that the beat was building. Like, Greg likes a sign.
The song slaps. I love a good pop song. I love pop songs. Oh,
Here's the problem with letting Grandpa pick the songs for the day. It wasn't until I'd finished this whole list and got all the little excerpts ready that just a little flag in the back of my head said, "Wait a minute, you should check the lyrics on this one." And I'm just right away going, "Oh yes, okay." Quickly, I'm googling, driver's license clean lyrics, so that I put that on. Yeah.
Back in my day, they didn't swear on records. They just talked about love and going to sock hops.
And so it goes on this Monday morning at 6:56. This is January 8th. This is National Clean Your Desk Day, National Gluten-Free Day, English Toffee Day. Is English Toffee gluten-free? I don't know.
I think so.
It also says this is Show and Tell at Work Day, which is funny because that's basically what Selena does with us every Monday. Is she does show and tell of the story that she's working on, and shows off the cat.
Tell at work, and I got sent to HR, and I don't appreciate it.
There are boundaries on what we show and tell at work, Greg.
Limitations.
We don't combine it with National Bubble Bath Day, which is also what today is as well.
They were tasteful pictures.
So that's what's on the calendar for today. Selena, how did you get roped into judging a food contest for a food you don't like?
I've judged a lot of food contests over the years.
Yeah. And so what was this one?
This one was chili. And I don't like chili. And I even said that. So I put it out there, but it didn't matter. And
I think that probably made it more attractive. Like, oh, we got to get her in doing this.
I know what I pitched also, or I said, okay, well, I have a clean palate. I don't have any biases. So that works. I also have had to judge beer contests or beers like micro brews and things like that. And I don't drink beer. So same kind of.
Why don't you just say no then, Selena?
Yes, Selena.
Well, I say I don't eat chili or
I don't say I don't eat chili. You just say, no, I'm busy,
Stop being so Midwestern. Just be like, no, thanks.
But you know what? So there were two other judges, and I was like, okay, hopefully they think the same, or I'm not way off. So one of them did pick the same one I did. So I felt, good about that. It wasn't
all three of you didn't like chili. That's what we found out that day. We don't like chili.
Wouldn't that be great?
Chicken soup or something?
I was going to say cream of mushroom was the winner because they have such bland
Who won
palates.
The beer contest? Bud Light.
Michelob Ultra, you're the winner.
It was at the local Elks Club, the fraternal organization.
Which I'm sure they're very thankful you were there, even though we've just completely trashed the concept of them bringing you on as a judge. But I know that.
Okay, here's the controversy, and they didn't have any with noodles yesterday, and because I'm a believer that chili doesn't have noodles, and I grew up with that. Of course, my parents made chili, and I always tried to eat it, then. But.
Well, here's a debate we're going to continue on the other side of news. Kristen, we'll see you back on Thursday.
Yes, and tonight on Pete's show at 9.
All right, Pete Schwab show at Nightlight. You'll see him. You'll hear her there as well. Have a great day, Kristen. We'll talk to you later, and everybody else back after this. You're up north. All right, not
our awesome farmers market.
Not my most polished transition, but that'll do.
Sorry.
All righty.
UK. Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
People across Wisconsin are enjoying the rewards, stability, and flexibility of a career in healthcare. Why not you? Wish Caregiver Careers can get you started as a certified direct care professional. You'll learn the skills you need.
All right, Ms. Heller, I know we've been off, so I'm guessing you don't have any kind of a list for me?
I had just the hydroponics.
Hydroponics, okay.
Yes, and those sound bites.
Did you send me sound bites?
I did on Friday.
Oh, Friday. Well, no wonder. I do not have those. Okay, hang on a second here. Oh, no, my computer's freezing. Was that through Slack?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just.
There are 2 sound bites.
Oh, those 2. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Let's download this one. And this one. Okay. So Selena, there are 2 of them here. I got to give him a better description for Greg. So this first one, Bloomer. Oh, that's Rachel, the teacher.
Teacher, yeah.
I'm just going to call it Bloomer Teacher.
The other one is a student.
Okay. Okay. And get them into Dropbox here. Oh, shoot. Actually, I think Greg can still do this anyway.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
No, Greg probably can't hear me right now.
Her go over the side, no evidence of tire tracks or anything on the road or on the side of the road. She was very lucky that some hiker happened to come by and hear her.
This is CBS News.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
This is your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network.
For Civic Media News, I'm Nate Wuggehout. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Governor Evers says he doesn't support efforts to keep Donald Trump off the presidential primary ballot in Wisconsin. The Democratic governor tells the Journal Sentinel that doing that would only anger the Republicans' base and justify Trump's claims the deck is stacked against him. 41 public schools in Milwaukee are tearing up playground asphalt and replacing it with trees and native plants. Kids get some relief on hot days.
There's often not very many areas of shade, if any, on these urban schoolyards. There's not a lot of things to naturally do.
Lisa Neeb is with Reflow, the nonprofit which is helping with the project. She says grades go up and behavior problems go down when kids have recess in more natural settings. I'm Nate Wuggehout, Civic Media News.
The Packers beat the Bears. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Packers beat the Chicago Bears 17-9 at Lambeau Field and punched their ticket to the playoffs. Green Bay heads to Dallas this week to face head coach Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys Sunday afternoon at 3:30. Is there any question now that Jordan Love is the legit replacement for Aaron Rodgers at quarterback? Head coach Matt LaFleur.
I don't think there's many questions left, to be honest with you. He's just got to continue to do what he's been doing. I think
great things are in store for him.
Packers receiver Dontavian Wicks with 6 catches for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns on how Jordan Love has improved.
It was early in the season. We didn't have that chemistry, like I said. So he just had to get that feeling. The last couple weeks, he been on his A game.
Bears have now lost to the Packers 10 times in a row. Quarterback Justin Fields on the Bears' 7-10 season.
Of course, it was a lot of ups and downs. I grew a lot, learned a lot this year, and I think it's going to do nothing but help me in the future.
That's Bears quarterback Justin Fields. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
A big winter storm system is going to bring rain and snow to much of the region starting tonight, continuing through tomorrow and into tomorrow night. 3 to 6 inches of snow possible with rain mixed in at times. Today, mostly cloudy. 37 snow developing late this afternoon, continuing tonight into tomorrow with some blowing snow by late tomorrow into tomorrow night. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 26.
This is your hometown radio. Refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network. Whether you're heading down Les Paul Parkway or fighting traffic on the interstates.
All across Wisconsin from Civic Media, this is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Minnesota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, not just Pat Kreitlow, but Greg Bach down in Waukesha, Selena Heller from Up North News joining us from Eau Claire. And if I hit this button just right, joining us for the first time over this little video connection is meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Brittany, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Well, we're great. So nice to see you. We've look how we've grown as a show, Greg. We're not doing telephone forecasts anymore. We got the real deal.
We're like or something. I don't know.
Little victories, exactly. How are you? How was your weekend?
Oh, it was fantastic. I spent it forecasting this darn storm that just keeps wobbling. The word you used last week.
Wobble. I know. Well, to me, that was always the Celine and I worked with a couple of colorful meteorologists at TV 13 back in the day, and wobble was kind of their catch-all. Like, I might be wrong. If so, I'll blame it on the wobble. So I feel like we've put extra pressure on you that we didn't mean to, but
it's okay. It's okay. Mother Nature.
I'm sorry, Selena. Go ahead.
She can use wobble. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. So where are we wobbling toward at the moment from the way you're seeing it?
Well, you can blame me. That's fine. I've been wanting a snowstorm in the worst way. The snow drought is not making a lot of people happy. So we need it. The state does need it. We're coming off of the summer drought, the winter drought, of course. We need the snowpack there for us, especially for the farmers and things like that, and the winter weather enthusiasts. So we've got the storm pulling north. That happened as of yesterday. The track kept going south. All of a sudden, a couple model runs pulled it north. And before you know it, all the other model runs started lining up. And now Wisconsin is back in the center target for it all. So winter storm warnings are out there and in effect, of course. La Crosse, Richland Center, Stevens Point, Madison, the Dells, Milwaukee, Fox Valley, Green Bay. We're all just expect 5 to 8 inches.
Just expect 5 to 8 inches.
Just go for that. Some of you will get more, some of you will get less, but a good 5 to 8 inches is definitely hitting a good chunk of the state.
So that whole basically La Crosse to not so much Wisconsin Rapids to Green Bay, that was the area that could have gotten maybe 2 or 3 and now is in line for 4+.
Absolutely. Isn't that wild? Mother Nature. She's got a
joy.
temperament.
Now
Yes.
we were aware she's got a reputation. And then for those of us in the northwest part of the state, again, some of us could be far enough north that we're just going to see some flurry activity.
Absolutely. I mean, up towards the north by Lake Superior, you're not going to see too much. Maybe some lake effect snow whipping off of that with the winds, because the winds are going to be up to 40 miles per hour. So yeah, this is going to be a vicious one with lake effect, blowing and drifting snow. So the plows are going to be out constantly. Our heaviest accumulation hours are going to be from about 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Heavy accumulation. We could even hear thunder snow
Ooh.
That's the best band name ever.
So just not a good day to be commuting. If you don't have to hit the road, don't. You could work from home.
So that's tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, I'm working from home tomorrow.
You are working from home tomorrow, aren't you?
No, I'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, now, wait a minute. I thought you were taking a break here at some point.
I leave Wednesday. So that was the question I had for the great meteorologist here. I fly out on Wednesday. Should things be cleared up at least for travel by then? Or am I going to be sitting at Mitchell going, I should have bought the insurance on the flight?
You should be all right. You should be fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. No, I'll be here. Don't worry, Pat. I'll be here tomorrow.
I worry. I'll be here. Because then once you're gone, I probably were subjected to Mathers again. And that person
you
think
you mean the capable, handsome?
Yes, your boss.
Luke
Yes,
Mathers?
yes. Can we get past the storm for a second? Because we know what often happens is on the backside of that storm, a bunch of cold Arctic air moves in. Is that part of the plan for this one as well?
Oh, you betcha.
Oh, you betcha. That's great. And that part, nobody's unscathed from that. When that air starts to move in, we're all going to feel it at the end of the week here.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking temperatures with highs in just the teens, lows dropping to near zero, and it's going to get even colder than that. So those lakes freezing up, people want that. But it's going to be cold.
Yep,
Find those winter jackets.
Fish.
Where I am on Lake Wissota, and I'm at this little where the Chippewa River kind of opens up and becomes Lake Wissota. So it's all either open or extremely thin ice. But you could go, apparently, I know this because I'm looking out the window, you can go maybe 20 feet from shore and walk on the ice. You should not. And I'm only telling you that because there are people walking out there with augers. I saw them yesterday during the Packer game.
Oh.
And it was all I could do not to open the door and just shout, "Get off of there!" Yeah.
Don't you tell me I'm an American. I get to fish wherever I want.
Yeah, that thin ice, that's fake news.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my goodness.
So yes, it's going to get colder so that eventually the ice will be safe.
Yeah, the only bad thing though is that the snow's coming first, and that usually insulates the water and the ice and things like that. So we'll see how it all goes, but we're getting there. Winter vibes are here.
Winter vibes. Like it or not, folks, get the winter vibes out. All right.
Winter vibes.
It's January.
Yep. Tis the season.
Dry January no longer applies to the precipitation. So
Nope.
it's all right. Thank you, Brittany, very much. Good to see you.
You as well.
All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
All right. Brittany Merlot, Civic Media meteorologist, joining us now at 7:12 as we look ahead toward the weekend, a weekend that's going to feature some Packer playoff football after beating the Bears 17-9 yesterday. The Packers finished the season 9-8. Not bad after starting the season 2-5. The Packers have now beaten the Bears 10 games in a row. And as mentioned, they head to Dallas now and play the Cowboys in the wild card round Sunday at 3:30. The college football championship is tonight in Houston, Michigan versus Washington. The Bucs lost on the road in Houston Saturday night. They are home tonight to take on the Utah Jazz, and you can hear Bucs basketball on Oshkosh Air Support. News from the center in Richland Center, Lake Air and Amory, WRJN in Racine, and 98Q Country in Park Falls. The 21st ranked Badger men's basketball team beat Nebraska on Saturday. They've now won 4 straight and 10 of their last 11. They will be at Ohio State on Wednesday. You'll be able to hear that game across several Civic Media radio stations. And the Marquette men's basketball team, 7th ranked in the nation, lost at Seton Hall on Saturday, dropping to 2-2 in the Big East, still 11-4 overall. They host Butler on Wednesday at the Fiserv Forum. And then finally, Badger hockey, the men's hockey team ranked 5th in the nation, working a 9-game winning streak after sweeping Notre Dame this weekend. That's their first 9-game winning streak in 34 years as they sit atop the Big Ten. And then the Badger women's hockey team is 3rd ranked in the nation, and they swept Merrimack over the weekend as well. Selena, we had this holiday break, so we're all kind of restocking on the stories that we're working on here. But one that you're dealing with is something called, is it hydroponics?
Yep, hydroponics.
Okay. What is hydroponics?
So hydroponics is basically growing plants without soil. So A lot of school districts are doing it. A lot of I think we have one correctional institution in Wisconsin. I believe that started to do it. There's a fire station in Wisconsin that are using hydroponic towers or flex farms. So there's a lot of places in Wisconsin. The towers, there are 700 towers in Wisconsin schools.
So wait, but they don't have soil. So what? They're on these towers and they get watered. But how do they get other nutrients and things?
So in the case of the schools, the students mix nutrients, macronutrients, and so they mix the concoction and they put it in the water. There's a base of water, and then it has like a kind of a filter system. And the seed pods are placed in the towers, and then the water filters through and provides them nutrients and the water they need to grow. So that's how it works.
And so you were in Bloomer talking about this with a student and a teacher?
I was in Bloomer, and I joined the classes and the students and watched them plant the seed pods in the towers. And they do this over a course of several weeks, and they kind of do them staggering. They plant them staggering, so they grow all of the time, and they grow all throughout the year. It costs $1 per pound to grow this lettuce. They can grow, it's very affordable, 25 pounds of produce every month. So in Bloomer, the agri-science students are doing this with the agri-science teachers. So it's FFA students, and actually they use it for their school lunch program. So it saves the school district money too, because they use it in the lunch program.
And Rachel Haas is the teacher we're going to hear from?
She is. And so she can kind of explain what they do and how it's used in the lunch program.
So every week we make a harvest for the lunch program. The best part about this is that we can get it right from our hydroponic system in the morning to the lunch trays in the afternoon. So it's going directly just down the hall to the lunch program, and they prep it and put it out for lunch right away the same day.
All right. And then, what do the students have to say about this?
Well, they're learning all sorts of things. One student I talked to there is going to become an ag teacher and she wants to kind of teach the same things as she's learning there, kind of these sustainable ways and different ways of farming. A lot of these kids say, I've never thought of this kind of type of farming before outside the box. And so it's got them thinking. One of the students, Tiana Peterson, she actually graduated last year. She worked with the hydroponic towers 3 years at Bloomer High School, and now she is at South Dakota State University. She looked into hydroponics for college, but she kind of now coupled that with her major of architectural design. And here's Tiana.
Yeah, so I just always, I grew up in Wisconsin, so, everything's grown in the ground, it's corn, it's beans. But then through this, I've learned, you can grow tomatoes and lettuce and different greens through these hydroponic systems. And I never was, taught that, through middle school and elementary school. And if I wouldn't have spent the time in those egg rooms, I would have never, learned about that. And just being able to see that is eye-opening, and it was just great to be a part of something that I know is obviously going to become bigger in the future just because it is so sustainable. So I was grateful to have that opportunity.
So
wonderful.
Really neat.
Yeah, sounds like a great experience all along. All right. Thanks, Selena. She'll be having that for Up North News on the website and on social media as well. We'll continue our conversation with Selena and more right after we take a pause here to tell you that wherever you're listening from across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network, we're live from Lake Wissota. You're up north. We'll be back.
The Shaw, WAUK.
This is Mean Gene Okerlund, and I'm...
All right, Ms. Heller, anything else you want us to preview?
I'll have just the international exchange students out looking for host parents.
Oh, okay. That sounds groovy.
I better look up what it's called.
Give you $20 just for letting us try.
Hey, what if I'm shy?
You? Well, at Robert Hack Diamonds, we sit with you at a table. We go through your items and make you an offer. You're not pressured, and we offer more on jewelry that we can resell.
Can I trade my gold for a new piece of jewelry?
Of course you can, and not only that, we can custom make a piece of jewelry using your gold and gems.
Hey, there you have it, folks. Sell your gold to my friends at Robert Hack Diamonds. Visit them on 76th and Layton in Greenfield. Robert Hack Diamonds, where they want your business.
What did you find for us, Mr. Bach?
This is Ashes to Ashes by the birthday boy, Mr. David Bowie.
Oh, very nice. Selena Heller's with us as well. Just a reminder that you can catch a lot of what we do in our daily newsletter. The way to get that is to go to upnorthnewswi.com, click newsletter in the banner at the top of our homepage, and get signed up for our newsletter that way. So as Selena's getting set to work for some more stories for Up North News, it's one of those things that we say a lot about exchange students and needing host families, because it's something that sometimes happens behind the scenes, but sometimes the enthusiasm for a program gets ahead of the host families, and that's something that you're helping others spread the word about, right?
Right. And there are a lot of programs, of course. So one of them is the Council for Educational Travel USA, CET USA, and they are looking for 165 host families in Wisconsin. So they'd like to place them all over the state. And we'll have some requirements. You really only need like a room for them to stay in, a bed, a study area. You don't have to provide money for them spending money. You can provide some transportation, like for school and things like that, but really their parents take care of money situations, insurances, medical things like that. So really minimal requirements for host families, and it really provides a great experience not only for the student but the host families too. You kind of bring culture to right to your doorstep with learning from all those students. Quite a neat experience.
It's a great experience. We've hosted students a couple of times. Once on it was just like a 2-week thing as they were passing through, and once for an entire school year. And Natalia basically became our third daughter from having her around. We traveled to Russia for her wedding several years back. Now she's in her mid-30s, like our daughters are. But just just an incredible experience that I too would highly encourage if you have even the slightest inkling that you might be good as a host family.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, they become your family member, just like kind of you say, you went to her wedding. It's just what a neat thing for both families involved. But 165 families in Wisconsin for the next school year. So, and there are local coordinators throughout the state. There are about 28 local coordinators. So they're looking to place in, all the regions of Wisconsin.
Is there a way for people to find out more, or we're going to learn that in the story?
CET USA is the website, and they have like an application there you can fill out or find out a local coordinator.
And I'm sure we will find out more as this story gets published, and we'll be able to tease it. So, how was the holidays? Emery get everything that she wanted?
Well, one thing she asked Santa for: dry erase markers. So yes, she got those. I'm like, what?
What an intelligent girl. I don't want permanent ones that, I want things that you can clean up temporarily when I put graffiti on the walls,
We have a big board, a calendar, so we write out. So that's what she wanted.
So she's going to add to that now.
Yeah.
Are you going to buy her dry erase markers now every year for because I once told my aunt that I loved black olives, and she bought me for the next 6 years black olives for Christmas.
Oh gosh, I'm not sure.
If Pat, you're right. You're right. You're right. It was awful.
It sounds like it.
We're still singing "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas." Like,
oh, God bless that.
Times a day.
Yep. When a kid gets a song like that, yep, they don't want to let it go.
All the words. She got a hoverboard. I didn't get it, but that has Bluetooth, and you can play songs. So now she's just playing songs and riding that around the house
Okay.
in circles.
All right. Well, I'm sure the insurance policy here covers orthopedics, so good luck with that.
Yeah, she's teaching me.
All right. Wait, teaching you what? Not
How
the
to ride the
hoverboard.
hoverboard.
No.
Video.
She holds my hands.
Oh, I don't think
And
this is going to
sometimes
end well.
when I step on it, I just go, I'm like, whoa! I just swirl around and spin.
Well, let's at least get you a flaming baton or something. I mean, let's make the most of it then.
I was going to say a helmet and some pads, but okay, Pat.
Yeah.
Well, we know who Captain Safety is over here now. Buzzkill. I'm over here looking for entertainment value, Well, Selena, good luck with that. Thanks for making me nervous now that I'm going to have to, hire another new reporter here at some point. So please don't break your neck.
I'll try not to.
All right. We'll check in with you next Monday. Thank you,
All
ma'am.
right. Thank you. See ya. Have a good week.
Bye.
Unpacking some more of the news now at 7:25. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos told WISN TV's Up Front that the medical marijuana bill that Republicans are going to unveil today, Monday, will, quote, probably be the most restrictive version in the entire country, which seems to be on brand because Wisconsin is an island right now surrounded by states that have allowed either complete full use of marijuana, recreational, medical, what have you, or have certain restrictions on the sale. Wisconsin still restricts it to the extreme. And it's not because that's what the public wants. Public sentiment shows quite clearly that they support legalization of marijuana. But again, in a gerrymandered legislature where you're not just going to get, Republicans, in this case, you're going to get the most extreme measure of Republicans. They have been lax to do anything in terms of reforming marijuana legislation. And that's why Assembly Speaker Vos is bragging to say, well, you might finally drag us kicking and screaming into the 21st century, but it's still going to be the most restrictive version in the entire country. And Governor Tony Evers told reporters last week that while he hasn't seen a bill yet, he would consider signing a restricted bill, which, again, doesn't go as far as he would. He supports legalization, but he would at least sign a bill that allowed for partial legalization of marijuana. Governor Evers did several one-on-one interviews with Wisconsin media late last week, ourselves included, and we will be playing our interview with Governor Evers back here tomorrow morning at 7:05. If you tune in, we'll be playing our Q&A with Governor Tony Evers. Back to Vos on Upfront over the weekend. He also was very critical of a proposal by fellow Republicans that would abolish the Wisconsin Elections Commission and give control of Wisconsin elections to others besides the Elections Commission. Vos said, quote, "This is a stupid idea. I will do everything in my power to make sure that we do not use the power that we have to give it to an elected official to make partisan mischief, which is exactly what's occurred in most states around the country. This bill should die a long, slow death. It is dumb." Which is very interesting because what he's saying the bill does is not exactly what it does. The Republicans who are sponsoring this bill are telling you, yes, we would get rid of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. We'd put elections under the Secretary of State's office. But what they're not telling you is the bill goes on to say that the Secretary of State can't do anything about elections without the approval of certain key legislative committee. In other words, it is completely removing the Wisconsin Elections Commission and handing control of elections to Republican politicians in the Wisconsin legislature. And of course, nobody would favor that. And I think that Speaker Vos understands that most people already see through the bill, so he's already throwing cold water on it. When we come back, it will be our first Motherhood Monday of the new year. So we will talk to Kate and Aaron from Motherhood for Good about 2024 and upping your civic engagement game next on the Civic Media Radio Network. You're Up North.
Listening to the Shaw, WAUK.
CBS News Brief. A new clue in Friday night's scary mishap on an Alaska Airlines plane minutes after it took off from the airport in Oregon. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy.
I'm excited to announce that we found the door plug. Thank you, Bob. Bob contacted us. He found it in his backyard.
Bob's a school teacher in Portland. We're just hearing about a setback for Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin almost a week after he was admitted to Walter Reed. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
He is still hospitalized, but said to be performing his duties. Congress, meanwhile, wants to know why it wasn't notified of his hospitalization.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. How are you guys?
Good morning. Good.
All right. Let's see. I'm just looking for there we go. Commercial break banner. There. Holidays were good for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hectic.
Uh-huh.
Because that's how they're supposed to be, I surmise at this point. How about you?
Perfect. We rented a beach house down in South Texas. We got the kids and the grandkids all under one roof, which is always just amazing. So we're very, very lucky that we can still do that.
That's the way to do it. Just go rent somebody else's house.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yep. And that way all we gotta do is the dishes. We don't have to worry about a lot of other things.
Yep.
So nope, it was great. Let's see. Now that I've communicated with Kate as far as her condition, I get to ask the same thing she hears 1,000 other times. Hey, Kate, how are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
nearing the third trimester, so getting a little more tired and a little slower. Feeling older this time around. But
I don't know how many kids you have. What is this one for you?
number 2.
This will be number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Aaron, you don't have similar news like that to share, right?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. Pat, you'll be the first to know.
No.
Yeah, we'll always break
I'm just
all of
kidding.
our news on Up North News. you
Yes,
know?
that's what we're all
right.
about, breaking news during commercial breaks, for our online audience, right?
Yeah, you guys might be the first to hear the birth announcement in the name or something. We'll have to see.
That would be awesome. I would love that so much.
Jump on StreamYard from the hospital.
Yep. Oh, hey, if I could get you, I'll get you the code. It'll be great. Yeah. Although that gets us back to, Sherry, when it's not as prevalent as it used to be, but like dad's boyfriends would be like, can I film the delivery? And she's always like, no, this is not entertainment. Go over there and hold your wife's hand, or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't get to be film director right now. All right. So what do we got here? 2 minutes from right now when we're back. Same as always, just the Instagram address if I'm putting something up on screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Instagram @ Motherhood for Good. There we go. Which one did I see? Was it Twitter where you have a different handle? It's Motherhood Good.
Yeah, I think Twitter's different because it was too long.
Oh, okay.
Although we haven't been super active on that anymore.
Yeah, I know. I noticed, and which is fine. It's just when I do the promo and I put up a promo
yeah.
on Twitter, then at least I have a handle to put in.
Yeah,
there, so.
and everything's like cross-linked, so if somebody finds us somewhere, then they can usually find their way back to where we are.
Okay. All right.
I got to get the threads going a little more too, but it's always it's one more thing. I'm sure you know.
Yeah, always feeding the beast. All right, there. Now we've got that. We've got 1 minute till we're back. Let's see. There was something else you were going to say. Oh, it's on the next page. You have a mom's town hall planned for mid-January.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, next.
And that's now
Sunday.
next week.
Next week. Okay.
Oh my
Next
gosh.
Sunday, right?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
already almost mid-January.
Yikes. Okay. All right, good. We will get going here in 30 seconds.
Great.
All right, let's talk technology for just a second here. Because if you want to listen to this program while you're on the go, get the Civic Media app, and you can listen live on all the Civic Media radio stations where we appear, because you can choose all the different stations while you're in the app. While you're in your car, you can add that to your car audio through Bluetooth and take us along live wherever you go, or listen later as a podcast. Again, go to civicmedia.us to learn more. If you're a relatively new listener, you'll know that every other week we have a little segment here we call Motherhood Monday with our friends from Motherhood for Good, as we provide a little bit of guidance, a little advice, a little information for busy parents, for busy moms, to help you stay involved, understand what are the issues going on out there that will affect motherhood. There are no better people to do that than our friends from Motherhood for Good, Kate Duffy and Aaron Phillips. Join us this go around. Happy New Year, ladies.
Happy New Year. Good morning.
Happy New Year indeed.
Yeah. Good holiday season for both of you, I trust.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, it was nice. Lots going on, but kind of happy to be past it, me personally.
Yeah, I mean, same. I overheard my husband having the discussion with our kid this morning about like how Christmas is over now. And then we'll wait again for next year's Christmas, for this year's Christmas. And it's like, yeah, that's a weird concept to explain to a 3-year-old, but
I was going to say the
cycle
4-year-old
we live in.
The 4-year-old grandson was asking, I guess, about a week ago or so about, when do they get in a costume and go trick or treating again? It's like, no. So you're trying to explain the concept of the calendar.
Yeah.
And this is a once a year thing, like a birthday. And it's part of the charm. So I'm glad that it went well for both of you. Now, we spoke earlier in the program with Kristen Lyerly and talked about the importance of encouraging women who are considering running for office. And so that kind of dovetails nicely into this segment about how moms, how women, how their allies, they may not necessarily be running for office, but there are other ways to increase our level of civic engagement, which is really, what we're all about at Up North News and at Civic Media and at Motherhood for Good. And that is upping that civic engagement game, just doing the little things a little bit more that can really make a difference in your community. Kate, do you want to kick us off as far as, things that busy parents can even start to do now to make 2024 a more involved and productive year?
Yeah, so we were talking in one of our meetings about, what was going to be coming up. And obviously 2024 is going to be huge. It's a very crazy election year that's going to have a lot that comes along with it. So we're trying to ease into the advocacy, the engagement. It's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. We've got until November. So, well, first of all, if you are thinking about running for office, that one is a little bit more pressing, and please do that if you are doing it. There's a great organization called Run for Something that has great resources too, or shoot us a note on DM and we can help connect you with some resources. But for those who are not considering running for office, there are so many baby steps you can start to take to ease into the election season, because I was even feeling this myself. I'm like, ooh, I'm not ready to dive in yet. So we were brainstorming some ideas that we could do. And first off, I feel like this is kind of the simplest thing you can do. If you're in Wisconsin, you can go to myvote.wi.gov and actually, since it's a new year, reminder, you have to request new absentee ballots if you are planning on voting by mail. The first spring election, I believe, is April 2nd, which is going to come up really fast because the spring does that to us. So that is number one, a very easy, low-hanging fruit that you can do that will take you hopefully less than 2 minutes and get those going. We were talking a little bit earlier. I am pregnant and due in mid-April, so I definitely need to do that. I cannot imagine if I ended up going a little early and I was in the hospital and could not end up voting. I know it's spring break time for a lot of people, so go on to myvote.wi.gov and request those absentee ballots before you forget.
And we're going to beat that drum all the time because, and some of us who don't get pregnant, there's other things that keep us from the polling.
Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you how many election days where the weather was iffy, where I'd say to myself, I really had to get signed up for the absentee ballots. And you can do that. Like she said, now you can go to myvote.wi.gov and it's on a calendar year basis. And so there are 4 main election days in 2024, and you can get signed up now for all 4 of them if you want to have your absentee ballot automatically mailed to you. That way you don't have to do it individually each time. And, again, Aaron, that's just, there's frankly no great reason not to, because then you're guaranteed to be participating in democracy in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big better safe than sorry, energy around that little action. And dovetailing off of something Kate said about like, okay, well, the April primary, like we might be around spring break. We all look at our calendars for the year and sort of start, well, at least, we start at the beginning of the year kind of piecing together, like, what is my year looking like? Where are our family trips? Where is the school function thing? Like whatever the commitments are for the year. And I think that this is an opportunity as we ease into the new year to include anything about our election cycle this year, which you guys have mentioned is like beyond monumental, to include that in your family planning for your calendar year, so that you're looking ahead not only to do this very important step and easy step of securing your absentee ballot, but also just kind of being able to track for yourself now before we're in the thick of it. Like, where might I want to participate? Where might I want to step in and really get involved? Because it's going to be way easier to start getting involved now than when like we're inundated with ads, everybody's talking about it, it's feeling contentious, it's feeling overwhelming. If you start planning now for how you're going to involve yourself in the election year, it's not going to, you're like starting to wade into the cold water now instead of trying to dive in later.
Yes. And by the way, that planning very definitely includes, again, those 4 key dates, which we're going to work backwards actually, because everybody's aware of the November one, where there will be a presidential election on November 5th. But there's also elections for, legislature and all kinds of other seats. And the primary for that will be on August 13th. Then, of course, there's the April spring nonpartisan elections and a presidential primary, and that will be April 2nd. But, Kate, already on February 20th will be the primary election date for any of these April races. And there aren't always a ton of them, but in some cases that might be really important. Maybe you're in a school district that has, what would it be? Something like, 7 candidates for 3 seats or something like that, where they've got to winnow down the ballot for April. So, you need to see if that February primary is important in your hometown.
Yes, great point. And here I am talking about like April's going to come up quick, but you're right, Pat, there's something happening in February 1st, which is literally next month. And school board races are going to be really important. And that was one of the other things we had on our list. Start looking into your school board if there are seats up and who is running. And we know from experience, from talking to people, this information can be a little bit harder to track down. Like with the bigger elections and even like the state level assembly and Senate races, they usually have everything on like a website like Ballotpedia or myvote.wa.gov. One of those big ones will have kind of the main ticket races, but school board is a little bit harder to find. So give yourself a little bit of time. Typically, you can go to your district's website and just to get that base information of if there's any seats up for election. And then you might have to dig around a little bit. You might have to like be anti-millennial and talk to some of your neighbors and see what's going on. Get on the Facebook groups, see who's running. I've had some conversations definitely with neighbors and people in my community who's running, and I'm trying to figure that information out. It does take a little bit more digging for sure. So you could also attend a school board meeting and grab somebody afterwards who seems like they're really plugged into what's going on, and I'm sure they would be happy to help you. But those are really, really important elections. Even if you don't have kids in school, the school boards in your local community really, really help shape the lives for constituents there. So we really, really recommend getting involved there and getting involved early, because it can take a little bit.
And forgive me for putting more of a nefarious tone on this, but it has been quite clear that in some local elections, mostly school board, but it can happen with city council and county board and things like that, you'll have somebody, basically an extreme candidate, who will actually do very little publicly to draw attention to themselves. They know that voter turnout is low, in some of these spring and primary elections. And so they'll communicate basically within their base, within their mailing list, within their Facebook groups and things like that, and hope to basically surprise the rest of us with a strong voter turnout, counting on other people to, frankly, afterwards go, wow, I didn't even know that this person was running, much less that they are that extreme. And there's just nobody can do your homework for you. You always hope there's local media that will say, here's a bunch of stuff, but we even have extreme candidates who don't even respond to those candidate interviews anymore. They don't talk to local media. And again, while that sounds nefarious, it just means everybody at home, you got to do your homework. Otherwise, you end up with a nasty surprise, Aaron, on your school board or city council.
Yeah, I mean, I think exactly what you just mentioned of there being this possibility, right? That we're not maybe going to be as readily able to discern what's going on with these candidates, especially, we talk about this all the time, but I think especially in school board races, which in recent years have become more high profile and more contentious, and sort of a ripe ground for political partisanship, even though they're nonpartisan races. And like you're saying, there might not be a lot of media coverage about them. Hopefully there is, but it can just be so difficult to, you have to read between the lines so much. And so what Kate is talking about with really plugging into your community and trying to learn these sort of long-standing, stances of these candidates that maybe, aren't as publicly facing at the moment. It's a challenge, but it's a surmountable challenge. It really is. We just have to tap in and talk to one another. There are resources within your community. Maybe they're online, maybe they're, in person in community meetings, at the school board meetings. There are so many avenues to get plugged in. And again, just ringing the same bell, tapping in now is going to be so much easier than trying to scramble and learn who these 7 candidates are running for the same 3 seats, right? It's going to be, and a month ahead of the February is not even that much time, but certainly it's easier than 2 days before or something like that.
And pro tip, if you notice that a local school board candidate is the focus of a whole lot of advertising, which is expensive, and or is giving you one of those generic sounding group names like, Moms for Liberty or Parental Rights, blah, 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 that may be a tip off that you're dealing with somebody whose views are actually a bit more extreme than the parents in their community. Last thing, Kate, is that another thing you can do to get better involved in 2024 is to sign up for an event or a meeting. You might even have one coming for you with Motherhood for Good.
Yeah, we have a really exciting event coming up next Sunday on the 14th. We're going to have a mom's town hall with Senator Tammy Baldwin. So if you go to our Instagram profile at Motherhood for Good, there's a link in the bio there if you want to sign up. We do require pre-registration for this one, and there's an area where you can pre-submit questions. So we'd be happy to have you at that. It's going to be in the kind of Waukesha County area, and we'll email the address when we have it. But whether you can come to that, if you're in the area, that would be great. It's a great way to get involved. Ask, one of our United States senators about her views on things. She's going to be talking about, childcare, education, a lot of things that this community cares about. And just connecting with other people. If you still feel like you don't know as many people who are talking about these things and you want more of a community that's civically engaged, coming to events like these is a great way. You can also go, if gun reform is really important to you, you can sign up for a Moms Demand Action meeting. You could always go to your local county Dems meeting. There's so many options. So we would challenge you to just sign up for one thing and try it out if you never have, because you'll never know what it might lead to.
Exactly. And one last thing I'll put in a pitch for that I've done before is if you find out that a friend or a neighbor is running for office and you greatly support what they're doing, they'll really appreciate your help. It might be licking envelopes, it might be knocking on doors, it might be making phone calls, but it's going to be so necessary for everybody to not stay on the sidelines this year. Kate Duffy, Aaron Phillips, Motherhood for Good. Look forward to Motherhood for Good on Instagram. Great to see you as always. Have a wonderful start to the week.
You too.
All right. Bye. When we come back, Civic Media News Director Terry Bell with 3 things you need to know to start the week. Back in just a bit. You're Up North.
Strawberry jam, and they don't lose any sleep
There we go. We're out.
WAUK.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, I feel like we could talk about school board stuff forever. I feel like that's going to be a big topic in the coming weeks and months.
Good.
Yeah.
So we know where we're going 2 weeks from today then.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
And remember, doors always open. If you've got an event or something else coming up and you need to get on sooner rather than later, give me a shout.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank
All
you.
right. See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Good morning, Terry.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good.
All right, let's bring this audio back up.
Could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
To get inside each other's mind.
walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
You're listening to The Shaw, WAUK.
A reminder that tomorrow at 7:05, we'll have our interview with Governor Tony Evers, who's been talking to reporters, kind of an end of the year, start of the year media tour that he's doing. And so we'll hear our interview with Governor Evers coming up tomorrow at 7:05. Civic Media News Director Terry Bell joins us now. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Pat.
How was your holiday season?
Very nice, very restful, very low key, which is just the way I like it. So it was a great way to end the old year and start the new one.
All right. And as we look ahead, we've got a kind of, how do I put this? I keep saying, reload, reacquaint ourselves for those of us who unplugged during the holidays to what's happening news-wise. And some things are ongoing. The presidential campaign, of course, is one of them. But then there are some things that are relatively new, and we just hinted at one of these earlier in the hour, that Republicans in the Wisconsin legislature are going to introduce a bill with what I would label as rather slight legalization of marijuana compared to what you're seeing in other states. What's the details on this new Republican proposal?
Well, the details that we know is that, as you mentioned, it probably promises to be one of the most limited legalized marijuana bills in the country. This would be strictly medical marijuana. Even then, it would restrict what forms it would be available in and who it would be available to. Speaker Robin Voss has been adamant that he does not want this to be the start of legalizing recreational marijuana. But even in this very limited form, it is definitely a marked step. Republicans have been absolutely opposed to any, at least leadership has been opposed to any marijuana bill. So even this limited bill represents a bit of a movement, a shift in receptiveness to this idea.
Well, it's one thing to introduce it. It's another thing entirely, because, bills have been introduced in the past. It's just a matter of, again, are you introducing it to show that you might be able to make some progress, or are you looking actually at making progress? And so introducing it's one thing, but I mean, that's the one thing you and your team will be doing, is seeing if this thing gets a hearing. How does the hearing work? Does it get scheduled for a floor vote? And more than a couple of bills have passed the Assembly, but then the Senate never takes it up, or it passes the Senate and then the Assembly never takes it up. So even this limited bill is by no means a slam dunk, right?
We'll see what happens. And of course, there is a lot of disagreement even among the Republican caucus as to how far this should go. I think we're seeing more people speaking up. I think this is why this is budging at least this far, is because people seem to be demanding this to the point where it really, if nothing else, even just giving this issue some lip service is an acknowledgement that there is a growing call for some kind of marijuana reform.
All right. There's another topic that comes up frequently. I have opined about it quite often. My frustration with the fact that there has not been any kind of bipartisan immigration reform since Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill hammered something out in 1986. Ever since then, this issue has been a political football. And while it often makes a lot of noise at the border with Mexico, the fact of the matter is these are issues that are very pertinent to Wisconsin as well. that call out for solutions, but at least there's going to be a lot of talk about immigration and border crossings here in Wisconsin as the next session of the legislature comes into action.
Well, you're right. So Republicans are making an issue of immigration again, and there was an uptick in activity at the border late last year. That seems to have leveled off now. And but also, as you point out, it's been generations since there's been real any kind of legislation that has been passed, including by the very people who are calling for it now. They've had a lot of opportunity to do it up to this point. So far, that has not happened, but it's been moved up to the front burner again, even though Congress has, there's a shutdown looming. And there are those who think that the lawmakers should be in Washington negotiating something to keep the government from shutting down, rather than to make an issue out of this.
Yeah, and part of the reason it also is becoming more of a Wisconsin-based discussion topic is that folks like Texas Governor Greg Abbott and others are moving migrants, again, in my opinion, human trafficking, but they are moving migrants to other places, including now, parts of northern Illinois.
That's right, Rockford in particular. So yes, it has become an issue for Wisconsin, and that's why you're hearing more about it up here in particular.
Mm-hmm. Then, of course, we're in January now. We're in that time of year where people are home a little bit more often and maybe don't take care of some of the things they do in the warmer weather months, amongst them donating blood, which is always so badly needed, especially this time of year.
Mm-hmm. The American Red Cross has named January Blood Donation Month. Has been the case for a long time. But yeah, you're right. For some reason or another, people donate less blood in January, even though the need never goes away. This seems to be a slow time of year for donations. So the American Red Cross is getting the word out that they really do need the donations, and they're putting out special events and other concerted efforts to try to remind people and encourage them that the gifts of blood are as necessary now as they are any time of year. People with cancer, people who've been in traumatic crashes, people with ongoing conditions who need blood transfusions. This is so very important for them.
So we get to this point of the year, and we often talk to you about the Badger women's volleyball team, and they had a good run, but now that season's done. So what do you tend to follow over the winter months?
Well, the Packer game obviously was a big deal. College sports being what it is now, there seems to always be some transfer portal news, and in fact, the Badger volleyball team just picked up a important position, a setter from the University of Montana in the transfer portal. We didn't have a setter. That's like a basketball team being without a point guard, or a football team being without a quarterback for a time. So at least we're up to full strength now. And a couple of really exciting incoming freshmen had a great game at the Under Armour Next game last week. It's kind of like the high school all-star game of volleyball, and our incoming setter Charlie Furbringer, that is, and Lola Schumacher, our incoming defensive player. They both were standouts in that game. So that's very exciting that they're coming to Wisconsin.
How do you like that? There's a hot stove league for women's college volleyball. Terry Bell's on top of it all. News director at Civic Media. Thank you, Terry. Have a great start to the week.
Yep.
All right, Greg, thank you. We'll talk to you tomorrow before you get to take yourself a very well-deserved break. Thanks to all of you for joining us. A reminder that Up North News is the digital outlet for Courier Newsroom, a separate entity from Civic Media, but happy to be here. You can keep up with us. Sign up for our newsletter at upnorthnewswi.com. Again, our interview with Governor Tony Evers tomorrow at 7:05. Have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow. All righty.